Hi, I'm Eva Moses Cunningham, and welcome to the Feel Better Everyday podcast, helping you connect with and take better care of yourself and create a life you don't need to retreat from. Welcome to episode 32 of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. Today's guest is the delightful Joanne Mallon. She's the author of many books around self-care. She hosts a podcast, 5 Minutes to Change Your Life, and she's a media coach and all-around delightful human. I really appreciate her grounded, habitual approach to self-care and hope that it inspires you to think whatever it is you want to introduce or remember or try out, how you can make it as easy as possible for yourself, and try habit stacking, picking something you already do without thinking about, and like she's adding gratitude to her shower. Think about something simple, think about something so easy you almost can't do it. And also let me know what you struggle with. I was determined to adopt that sleep approach, and it's still very up and down for me. I'm a night owl by nature, and I realise even saying that I'm embedding that identity as a late night person, but it probably is something I struggle with the most. But I am much, much better than I used to be. So progress, not perfection. I hope that listening to today's episode and other episodes will encourage you to think of those tiny changes you can make yourself, and I'd love to hear how you're getting on. Enjoy the episode. So welcome, Joanne. Thank you so much, Joanne Mallon, for joining me. I feel like I know Joanne way better than I actually do, because we've been online friends now for nearly 2 decades through JournoBiz.
Wow,
So,
is it as long as that?
yeah.
But I think, have we only actually met face to face maybe once, maybe twice?
Maybe, yeah. But it's one of those like, oh, the people who live in my phone, I always think are better friends than they are. But thank you so much for being part of this. It's a joy. Joanne is a media coach and career coach, one of the UK's best known, featured in most of the major newspapers and magazines. And you're also an author of many books. So you're known for both the writing and the coaching. And what are you working on at the moment?
Well, there's a few things going on. I mean, in my writing tends to be more life coaching, kind of more about general well-being. So I've got a book that's coming out quite soon that's all about how to be calm. So I'm looking ahead to that, and I'm trying to get as calm as I can myself, because you can't be the calm person and be kind of running around like a blue Irish fly, can you? So I'm just working on myself, getting as calm as I can. And then in my coaching practice, that's mostly career coaching, and it's mostly people who work in media. That's my kind of specialism. So it's people like journalists, authors, TV producers, people like that. So I've dialed that down a bit right now while the book is coming along, but it's still ongoing. And then, of course, as well as that, like yourself, I've got a podcast which is called 5 Minutes to Change Your Life. And this has kind of become a recurring theme with me, small things that we can do that make a big difference. So that's what I talk about in the podcast.
Yeah. And I was on one of your episodes ages ago, but it's gorgeous. And I love your bite-sized format. It is that practical. So that's what I want to be asking you now. I know people know what we should be doing, and the reality can be different. So if you could start by telling me what your ideal morning routine would be like. If you
Well, I was thinking about this, and I think the problem is my ideal routine would have to involve me being a completely different person. You know, I'd love to be somebody who just woke up naturally when the sun comes up and sprung out of bed, ready to make some magic happen. But alas, that's not who I am, and I don't think I'm going to suddenly become a morning person right now. So but yeah, to me, it's one of the good things that I brought out of the pandemic lockdown time, is I developed quite sort of regular morning routine, which I didn't really have before. I just kind of get up and get on with life. But what I do now is, so my alarm clock goes off, And when I get up, I put on the same pair of pajama trousers and the same top, sweatshirt top, and then I go and do. Often it's yoga. Yoga was something I started during the pandemic, just because I wanted a bit of time for myself, and all the family was at home because of lockdown. They're lovely, my family, but you still want to be a bit of time for yourself, Recently, this year, I've been doing Tai Chi. I've been doing on YouTube. There is a fantastic series called 100 Days of Tai Chi, and it's 100 videos, each one 10 or 20 minutes, and you kind of learn the basics, and it builds up to a bit of a routine. So I get up and do that, and because I'm wearing the same clothes and I'm turning on the same thing, I don't have to think about it. I just kind of roll into it. So I do that, and then the next bit of my routine is I get in the shower. And when I'm in the shower, that's when I do my daily gratitude routine. As we know, daily gratitude is a brilliant thing to do. And it's one of the classic things about forming a new habit is the easiest way to do it is to hook it onto a habit you already have. So when I was starting this daily gratitude habit, I thought, well, what do I already do every day? Well, I have a shower in the morning. So when I'm in the shower, I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for in that moment. So it might be something coming up that day. It might be that if I've had a decent night's sleep. It might be just that my family are safe and well, it could be anything big or small, but I remember and clock in on 3 things that I'm thankful for in that moment. And I find it just gives you a real positive boost. Lovely. So then after my shower, I told you this goes on a bit, this routine.
Oh, brilliant.
Then by that time I come out of the shower, my lovely husband will have made me a cup of tea. Thank you very much to him. And then I do my Duolingo daily German practice. And again, this is something I took out of lockdown. Learning a language, trying to keep the old grey matter alive. I don't know anybody German. I've no use. I can't really actually speak it, even though I've been doing it a couple of years. So I do that. I have my cup of tea. So all of that together I find puts me in a really kind of good frame of mind.
Wonderful.
And then when I finally get down to my office where I'm speaking to you from, I've started going outside for 5 minutes before I actually start my day, because I've written a few books over the last couple of years about small things that make a big difference in your life. And being in nature just came back again and again. There is so much scientific evidence that it's really good for you on so many physical and mental levels. So I go outside. I've only got quite a small garden. In recent years, I've got really into growing roses. I've gone from 0 to 10 different roses, all packed into this wee tiny space. And I just go around them all. I say good morning. I say hello. I say, how are you doing today? Because I'm sure roses have all got names. So when they come, they've got a name. And the one that's growing the least well at the moment, alas, is the Paul McCartney rose. So I go up to little Paul and I go, come on, Paul, how are you doing today? Have a little chat to him, see how he's doing.
Do you sing to him?
Pick off any leaves that have got like bits of something nasty on them, all that kind of stuff. Then I come back to my day, and I'm in a really good mood. The downside to all of this is that if you wanted an appointment to speak to me for coaching, it's not going to happen until later on, because I've got all this stuff to get through first.
But that then I know for me, I don't book appointments because I've got such a long morning routine and I'm not at my best first thing at all. But do you sing to Paul McCartney, Rose?
I haven't yet, but that is it's a good thought. No, actually, I sing in the car sometimes. I was driving back today. One of my books is all about overcoming fear of driving, because this was that kind of thing. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, I had a long running phobia of driving, which I got through and ended up writing a book called How to Overcome Fear of Driving. So anytime I'm driving now, I'm always super happy because I remember what it was like to be too scared to do so for a long time. So I have my driving playlist that I sing along to all the time. Haven't sung yet to little Paul. Perhaps I need to. Perhaps that's what he's waiting for. Who knows? I'll try it tomorrow morning. I'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you. And I want to ask about your actual morning routine, like when things are more of a struggle, when you have to pare it down, when you have to do the bare minimum, what one thing would be the most essential for you?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because sometimes you get up and you just have to get on with life. I think for me, the thing that I struggle with in the morning is getting distracted by going on my phone.
Yeah.
I've been trying to break that habit for a while. I was reading recently about how it's a terrible thing if you look at your phone first thing in the morning rather than your partner. And I'm thinking, oh, bloody hell, I've been doing that. So I look at himself, he's fast asleep, he's snoring away. I go, hi, how are you doing? And then I get my phone, have a look. I'm trying to break that phone habit in the morning. It's awful. Yeah. I think I'm going to have to just buy a non-phone based alarm clock.
Yeah.
The alarm clock, so I don't have an excuse to have it in the room. I find I'm quite hooked on the you'll see this, the dopamine rush of turning on your podcasting app and seeing that loads of people have been listening overnight. That's
hopefully
really nice. Unfortunately, then I pick it up and I end up doing that kind of too much. Yeah. So that's where, you know, we have the routine in theory, but real life becomes something different. Yeah. So I know I have the ability to change this, but just kind of struggling with doing that. So yeah, I think in general, the gratitude always stays, because I always have a shower, no matter how, if I'm running late, I'm still going to jump in the shower, and that doesn't take any time. I think that, I guess, as you're saying, this kind of morning routine, it can build up to being quite time consuming. Yeah. And obviously I'm very lucky in that I'm a stage in life where I don't have to do the school run. I don't have to be anywhere for a particular time in the morning. So I have the choice. But each of these individual things, they're not that time consuming. Like, and for something like the gratitude practice, I'm doing that while I'm in the shower. You could do that while you're brushing your teeth. If you layer it on top of something you already do, then it becomes much easier for it to become a very embedded part of your routine. Yeah.
And what about later in the day and before bed? Do you have any ideal things that you do each day and the reality?
Well, I'm pretty strict about going to bed early. I believe in the restorative powers of the simple things in life, like drinking water, walking, doing a bit of exercise, and sleep. Because as we know, if you're sleeping well, it just supports everything else. But if you're not sleeping well, it undermines everything. So I go up to bed at 10 p.m. every night, and then I read a book. I might do a face mask. I do something quiet, relax. I am very good, actually. I'm not on my phone late at night. I've broken that habit.
Brilliant.
I just read something, and 11 o'clock ish, I turn the light off, and I don't stay up any later than that. And I do that every night. So I just keep it quite simple. I don't snack in the evening. I guess you could call that intermittent fasting. I don't, when I have my dinner in the evening, I don't eat after that, because I've read a lot of stuff about how that's asking your body to do more work.
It can't do rest and digest at the same time.
Exactly. So it's good for your body to have a decent long rest from having to do the work of digestion. So I don't really have much caffeine anyway. So I don't snack in the evening. During the week, I don't drink alcohol. I might have a few glasses of wine on the weekend, but during the week, don't do that. And just keep it quite simple. I think, you know, the basics of self-care, if you get those pillars in place, then everything else kind of lines up behind it, doesn't it?
And I know you mentioned nature, but one of the questions I ask everyone is about self-care with the uppercase S, that highest, wisest, wildest, truest, most joyful, miraculous and brilliant part of yourself. You might just be thinking, nope, or you might be like, yes, I need whatever it is. So either way, how would you respond to that in terms of a self-care routine, connecting with the divine?
Well, you know, I'm not quite sure that this is part of what you're talking about, but one thing I'm a big fan of is a well-being walk, a mindfulness walk. So I go out for a walk pretty much every day.
Yeah.
I just go for like a circuit of the local park, or anywhere I feel like going. But I make a point of, I don't listen to music or podcasts or audiobooks. And I very often will make it a mindfulness thing, in that I'll be very, very focused on the present moment. So I'm focused on, what do my feet feel like in my shoes, what does the air feel like on my face, what can I see, what can I smell, that classic thing of tuning your senses at once. Because I find that it, both in writing and in creating the podcasts, I'm really looking to see what my instinct is telling me that needs to be said. So I think you need a certain amount of quiet to be open to your instinct, or your higher self, as you refer to it. So yeah, that's an important thing for me. I think very often when we create stuff, it's not about the time that you are sat down at a keyboard or in front of a microphone. It's all the thinking that you've done in the days beforehand leading up to that. So for me, something like writing a podcast script, I would go for a big long walk around the park, just trying to access whatever needs to be said, rather than trying to force what I want to say.
Gorgeous. So thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? How can people find you?
Well, I mean, I'd love it if people would come and listen to my podcast, which is called 5 Minutes to Change Your Life. If they want to come out and find out about my books or my coaching or whatever, just have a look at my website, which is under joannemallon.com, JoanneMallon. And of course, I'm on Instagram. I'm on whatever Twitter's called today. All of them places. I'm not hard to find if people want to come and say hello.
And I'll have links in the show notes as well. So
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And you've inspired me. The way you talked about getting to bed so easily, that for me is a sticking point. And it's like, nope, I'm going to do it from tonight. 11 o'clock bed, midnight lights out.
But that's it. If you decide when you want your lights out to be, then you kind of work back an hour and a half from that, and kind of run into it. I think where it is a struggle is if you go from being super alert to trying to be asleep. That for most people that just doesn't really work. So
well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. As you listened to Joanne, I hope that she encouraged you to think of tiny tweaks you can make to your own routine, and ways in which you can habit stack, making those changes you want to make that much easier. I'd love to know what you perhaps think you should be doing, and hopefully by now, episode 32, if you've listened to all of them. If you haven't, I hope you go back and enjoy the older ones. I hope that you recognise, like Joanne has, that we all have ideas in our heads of what other people are doing and what we should be doing. And like she laughs, she'd have to become a completely different person in order to have her ideal morning routine. You don't have to be anyone other than your glorious, wondrous self. Be you, make your routine support you, rather than you thinking you have to do something magically different. Let me know how you get on. If you haven't already and would like to again, rate, review, comment, share with someone you think might benefit. This episode, like all of them, has been produced by me, your host, Eve Menezes Cunningham. Next week's is the last interview episode of the first season of the Feel Better Everyday podcast with Colleen Neefsey. And after that, I'm going to be summarising all of my lessons from my amazing guests. I've learnt so much from this whole process. I hope you have too, and I'm already looking forward to the second season. Thanks again for listening. Really appreciate it.